What do you do when your brother frames you for murder? You tell the police that he is actually the murderer. And what happens when they don't believe you? You wear a mask to prove it. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. I'm here. Today we are going to be reacting to the Mask of Nhojhon. This is an actual unsolved mystery, so if you have any information about this case, please contact the provided email. On January 27, 1994, 36-year-old Pierre Riveron was found dead in his apartment, located at 38 Rue aux Cocotiers in Switzerland. Pierre had been bludgeoned to death with a large piece of granite. The police began their investigation and had every reason to believe that the murder weapon was also the murder motive. But there was one problem. They couldn't find the murder weapon. It was nowhere to be found. On the night of January 26th, Pierre had gone out for dinner with his friends. At around 11 p.m., he left the restaurant alone and returned home. According to the autopsy report, Pierre was killed between 11:30 p.m. and midnight. Since there were no signs of forced entry and nothing seemed to be missing from the apartment, the police assumed that Pierre let the killer in willingly. However, this didn't make any sense, because Pierre lived with his younger brother Jean-Jacques and his wife Florence. Whoever did this would have had to have walked through Jean-Jacques and Florence's bedroom to get to Pierre's bedroom where the murder took place. Furthermore, the couple shared a bathroom with Pierre, and whoever killed him went through the trouble of not just murdering him, but then staging the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong. So why kill Pierre, stage a robbery, and then leave the robbery unfinished? It didn't take long for the police to question both Jean-Jacques and Florence. They agreed to be interviewed separately, and each gave the same statement. According to them, they were woken up by gunshots, and when they got up, they saw Pierre lying dead on the floor. They immediately called the police, and neither of them had any idea who would have wanted Pierre dead. The police believed them. Well, at least they hoped that they believed them. There was just one small problem. According to the autopsy report, Pierre was hit on the head at least 3 times before succumbing to his injuries. A granite piece the size of a bread loaf was found near Pierre's body, but the police could not find the actual murder weapon, the part of the granite that did the damage. Jean-Jacques volunteered to search the apartment for anything that might have been overlooked, and quickly came back with what appeared to be Pierre's wallet, which was empty except for his driver's license. Then Florence came back with a pair of scissors and a lighter, both covered in blood. The police searched the rest of the apartment and eventually found a kitchen knife covered in blood on the fire escape. Lastly, Jean-Jacques returned with a broken glass, more blood, and a small shard of granite that looked exactly like the rest of the granite piece found near Pierre's body. This was enough evidence for the police to arrest Jean-Jacques and Florence. The only question was, how did they connect the dots and accuse them? After being read his rights, Jean-Jacques confessed to the crime. He told the police that he killed his brother Pierre after a heated argument over money. At the time, their parents were living with them while their apartment building underwent renovations. Their mother, Suzanne, was suffering from Alzheimer's disease, and Jean-Jacques and Florence felt that Pierre was undoing enough to help take care of her. In fact, Pierre had recently put their mother into a nursing home. While Jean-Jacques and Florence saw this as the best option for their mother, Pierre thought otherwise. He believed that they were exploiting their mother's condition for financial gain. There was also some bad blood between Pierre and Florence. Florence's father, Joseph, had died 2 years earlier under suspicious circumstances. Pierre believed that Florence killed her own father to collect on his life insurance policy, but he never told anyone this, not even the police. As the trial began, the prosecution argued that Jean-Jacques and Florence acted together to end Pierre's life. It was suggested that Jean-Jacques killed Pierre with the granite, while Florence distracted him by pretending to argue with Pierre. After the fight, they staged the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong. and collected the life insurance money. This theory made sense to the jury, and Jean-Jacques and Florence were found guilty of planning a murder and sentenced to 15 and 12 years, respectively. Pierre's widow, Marie France, was furious with the verdict. She firmly believed that Jean-Jacques was solely responsible and that Florence was innocent. After serving their time, both Jean-Jacques and Florence were released. They were given new identities and moved away to start their lives anew. Or so they thought. On July 17, 1997, a woman entered a bank in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. She handed the teller a note demanding 50,000 Swiss francs. When the teller asked her to wait, she became impatient, pulled out a gun and shot him in the leg. The woman then grabbed the money and fled the scene. Soon after, the police identified the shooter as Florence. She was found guilty of attempted murder and armed robbery and sentenced to 8 years in prison. Florence appealed her sentence, claiming that she was innocent, but the appeal was denied. While incarcerated, she filed a complaint against Jean-Jacques for defamation, saying that he made up the story about killing Pierre to protect her. However, this didn't do much, and Florence served out her full sentence without ever seeing freedom again. In 2004, a documentary aired in France which claimed that Pierre's Marie France was the mastermind behind the murder of Pierre. According to Marie France, Pierre was abusive, and she had every reason to want him dead. She hired Jean-Jacques to kill Pierre and planned to collect on the life insurance policy. Unfortunately, Jean-Jacques killed her as well, and the murder went unsolved. This may seem far-fetched, but if you think about it, it does make some sense. Why else would the police believe the story that Pierre was killed during a robbery gone wrong, especially when all the evidence pointed to the contrary? Who else would benefit from Pierre's death other than his fiancée? And why would Jean-Jacques protect Florence if he knew that she was innocent? Unfortunately, this theory remains just that, a theory. To this day, the police have no idea who killed Pierre Reveron and why. If you have any information, please contact the provided email. Now it's time for your opinion. What do you think happened to Pierre? Was it Jean-Jacques, Florence, or someone else entirely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.